Hey, what's up, everybody? Just me and no one in that chair.
I'm
Um,
coming. I'm just, hey, you got to booze up, you know?
yeah, well,
I'm,
yeah, we do what we
I'm
got to
pouring a
do.
whiskey and I'll be right there.
Jason's off tonight, and he's got a work meeting to go to, and so for now, it's just me and Big Rye. We don't have a guest lined up for tonight, but we have plenty that we can talk about within the sport. And so it's you're not going to get a lot of graphics, you're not going to get a lot of videos, you're going to get some real talk and some opinion, I think, instead. And so it'll be a different bit of a show for tonight. What we've got on offer for you, a few things. I want to look at the idea of a call out because we had one of those this weekend. I think that's interesting. I want to look at 50 Pro stock because that's a hot topic right now. Ultimate Call Out Challenge announced their rules for 2023. That's something to talk about, and there's a couple other things that we can look at and kind of try to understand when it comes to big money pulls. Where is everybody, and where is the turnout to make this happen? We all talk about how we want to make pulling better and get that the attraction of those the competitors, and when the money comes out and it doesn't quite work, why doesn't it work? So that's kind of my initial agenda. Ryan, what did you have anything else you wanted to add to the list? I'll make a note right now and we'll make sure we get to it.
I'm bumping along for the ride, man. You know I got a hot take on things,
Yeah,
just
I know
like you
you
do.
do. Well, let's start with the first high, easy, obvious. We have the call out by Jason Wayman in 3-0 truck for Wagler at this weekend's event against Adam Kincaid. I think it was for $5,000. What I didn't realize was that it was going to be a separate tete-a-tete after the class. What did you know going into that?
I knew it was going to be, I knew they were going to run heads up afterwards. Um, because the way Jason made the comment, he said after the show, assuming both trucks can run,
Okay.
$5,000 on the line. So, but hey, maybe before we get into that, let's talk kind of an overall from Jeremy's event. What was your take?
I was I felt like the track was as good as it's been, so there's no excuses there. The facility lived up to what it should be, um, but with the elevated purses that were provided, I was honestly a bit disappointed by the turnout.
Mm-hmm.
It
I
wasn't there.
agree.
I don't
I agree,
know.
and it wasn't just on the pulling side. The drag racers were low too.
They were, and to be fair to those guys, like we weren't even supposed to be there. Saturday was supposed to be nothing. We were supposed to be in North Carolina for Rudy's and drag racing there. And with the Hurricane Ian fallout, um, the only part of the drag racing that was ever supposed to take place was Friday night for the no prep. And Jeremy graciously offered up what he had on the track. He gave us a left lane no prep for guys to just go slam on it with clocks on, and the other lane with full prep and home run derby time. See what you can do. So he didn't have to do that. Um, Thankfully, he did, and a few of the Midwest based guys did take advantage of it. No records were set necessarily, but some runs were made and some lessons were learned, which is good. It
Yeah,
had to do with it was circumstantial. For as far as the drag racing went, it was circumstantial.
Right, because Friday was the organized part. Saturday was not. Saturday was nothing more than a test and tune. There
Yeah.
was nobody, there was no bracket that anyone was trying to climb up. There was no prize money on the line. If anything, it was survival of the fittest or survival of the fastest. And I don't know, maybe somebody put a beer on the line. I don't know, but I don't think any money really changed hands.
No, nothing I knew about. It was an opportunity for guys to try some stuff and see what they could come up with, and
let young drivers get some laps on the car.
Yeah, and there was certainly some of that. We met the family who had the junior farm truck, the Ranger, and Dad had the Camaro, and kind of cool to meet all of them. And we actually wound up talking to them trackside during the pull, and just to see a family out there for a weekend, having a good time, doing some things. It was dad, daughter, son, running a car and running multiple cars.
Yep. He had a real fast Camaro. I think it was a 68, something like that. It was yellow and black, was it yellow and black or yellow and white?
Yellow and black. That's Dad's car.
Go. And Dad's car gets down in boogies. You ever see him pull up to you at the stoplight in Danville? Smile and nod, but do not take it if he mashes the gas, because he will embarrass you.
Yeah, quick car. His son had it was a junk Ranger that they had acquired through their business, and he had repainted it to be junior farm truck and stick shift 4-cylinder truck, and just you couldn't knock. He first time he ever went drag racing was when Farm Truck and Asian were there in the spring, and you couldn't knock the hammer off the smile off the kid's face with a hammer for going out there and doing it and being a part of it, what his dad had taught him. And so they through his enthusiasm, the young man's enthusiasm, they were offered what was called the farm truck starter kit, and it was an offer for a C10, as I understand it. And you were part of this conversation.
Yep.
The only deal was they had to go out to Oklahoma and get it. And so I understand in November that's what's going to happen. They're going to be out there and go pick that up. Good kid. Got to meet them, and that's what it's about. Really, is this kind of stuff. A dad passing it on to his family, son and daughter. And there's not just drag racing. They went semi pulling, and the daughter, never driven a semi in her life, went semi pulling at a hook down in southern Indiana at one point this summer too.
Oh, no, I wasn't there for that part of the conversation.
Okay,
that's cool.
Yeah, no. Yeah, he told me that part that she had driven one of the semi, learned, went back in the field and learned to drive the semi, learned how to shift it, and they took a couple of them down and had them tuned up a little, and she drove one too. So it's part of the life.
That explains why she was paying such rapt attention on the track.
It does. Yeah, she was down
learning.
track.
She was trying to learn.
Yeah, she was. So that was really cool to see. It's the family piece that's so important to this sport, and we see it on both sides of the strip. It doesn't matter where you come from. So let's go back to the call out thing.
Yes, let's.
Jason Wayman offered up $5,000 against Adam Kincaid, straight up 3.0 trucks. And there was I felt like a lot of good buzz, not negative, a lot of good buzz.
Yep.
In the 10 days or so when that was announced going into this weekend. What did you hear and see? Because you're a little closer to both those guys than certainly I was heading into this.
It was, Jason did what he did, and Adam called him. They talked it out and said, let's do this. Let's have some fun with it. Adam said, I'll do it. And so they came, and, there was some side betting, or there were some offers for some side bets.
There was offers for it. I don't know that any of it ever got collected on.
It didn't. Adam's daughter was there on the line, and there were multiple times where she asked Dad, "Can we take this bet?" And Adam said, "No, we're not going to take this bet. We're going to leave it at the 5 it is." And so yeah, they did their thing. They finished up the 3-0 class, which Adam won.
He won it, and Jason was number 2, 3 feet behind.
Yeah.
So the precedent was already there. I'm thinking already like this. I didn't know. I didn't know there was the call out was separate. I thought it was part of the class. And Jason was way early in the class itself. And Adam came down through there. He was like, I don't know, 2 or 3 from the end in hook order. And I'm going, dude, I don't know if he got him. I don't know if this is, I don't know who won this bet. And then it became apparent to me that wasn't the actual dash for the cash.
Yep.
So the whole time I'm amped up, and I realized that really wasn't it. And it's like, oh, okay.
Right. You wonder why they're hustling those trucks off the track, and you're hearing leaf blowers in the background, and that's why.
Well, from where I was, they were so far away, and I'm thinking, all right, if once it filtered down to me that they were going to do this again, I'm going, well, shit. Wayman's truck's going to be ice cold because he was so early in the class. He's going to be back there and just chill right down to nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But when the actual class was done, Adam came walking down the chalk line, just looking at the track. Didn't really say anything, but the way he walked, like, I got this. And he looked, I was standing off to the side with Cody, and got that little wink, like, I got this. And he went across the track and walked up the other side to read that track too. And I'm going, is there more to this story? But it's just, there was confidence there. And so it was cool that to have that buzz and that electricity floating through the venue. That was really, really cool to see.
Yeah, I think it was good for the sport. And those two are friends. They're friendly competitors.
They are.
Jason is a fair bit more outspoken than Adam. Until you get a little bit of booze in Adam, then he gets real outspoken and loud and hilarious, quite honestly.
He does, but I don't know we necessarily need to repeat any of that.
Right. And I'm not going to. And and just in full disclosure, for anybody who happens to be watching from Novinger, Missouri, Adam was 110% complimentary around the campfire later. It was not one of those bashing kind of, BS things.
No.
It was, respect as pullers and competitors for one another. And, they had a good time. And they are looking forward to doing this again. And Brent Roberts, if you're watching, they want to do it in Bedford. So let's make this happen.
That was a piece of what was talked about, and wanting to do it again. As you said, there was never a negative word said. It was like, this was kind of cool to be a part of. And if we can make this a thing again, and I would suggest globally to pulling, this idea is pretty freaking sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Throw it down. Make it happen. There's nothing wrong with a friendly call out.
Yep.
Yeah, sure. There's money in the line, real money on the line, but that doesn't mean it has to be necessarily nasty.
Nope.
It can
No one,
add some
no one,
excitement to
no
it,
one.
and we can have a great time doing this.
Yep. And I mean, after the class was over, they gave the trucks just a little bit longer to cool down. They reteched them to make sure that there was no funny business, and those guys wouldn't pull that anyway. But just to be, for the up and up, they reteched the trucks. They sent one truck down, and I can't remember whose it was, but it was one of Patrick's motors. Really sharp Ford. With that common rail Cummins in it.
It was the Illumiduty that had bounced real bad during the class. He asked for a test hit, so they set the sled with him, and he went down and everything was okay. Yeah, that was the truck that went through to kind of reset everything.
Yep. And then Adam went first, put it out the end at 3:28 or 9. And then Jason came up and made it out to about 3:21, better part of 3:22 maybe.
And
the motor,
I think it was 3:23, but yeah.
And then the motor kind of laid over on him, I think, a little bit, because he kind of came grinding to a halt. I mean, not like grinding like driveline issues, but he came to a halt a little faster than he had in the past.
Yeah, ground speed maintenance just wasn't there. It didn't. It didn't stay up top the way that it should.
Right. And Adam did his. I mean, he came out of the hole with purpose. Both of them did, but I think Adam got the better bite, and he went hauling down through there. Like his hair was on fire, and it was cool. It was fun to watch. And then Adam gets out of the truck, parks it on the other side of the track, so it's just out there in plain sight, and then goes to the end of the track to watch Jason make his pass, and he's just stand at the end watching with some of his buddies. And no sooner had Jason come to rest, he kind of winked at him through the windshield, and then he made a beeline for his wife, and she jumped into his arms, and it was a cute moment. And now we all know that Adam is kind of a softie.
Yes, we do.
Haha. And I literally, as I was saying that, Candace just messaged me and said, "How do I buy all of these?" So, and then they settled up, and then Adam said, let's go fire up the campfire and eat. I'm hungry and I'm thirsty. And so, we went over there, hung out with them for a little bit, and talked and learned a lot, and had a blast. It was a lot of fun hanging out with those guys after the show. So got to meet some people that I'd never met before. Tim Tuttle, and was
thank you to the shoe boy camp for
feeding us.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. If the shoes ever so here's a pro tip from a fat man. If the shoes ever come to you and say, "Hey, we've got some beef ready to go to processing. Are you interested?"
Yeah.
You are interested. Trust me on this.
You are definitely interested. Yeah. Brian Shoe, Quality Diesel Performance. If they say, "Hey, we got something to eat, come to our pit and eat what we've got." Go eat all of it. Eat the fork, the plastic fork they've given you. It'll taste as good as anything else you've had.
Yeah. So context here. She comes. What's Brian's wife's name?
Shoot.
Mrs. Mrs.
Yes.
She comes over and she's got a plate full of steak strips. And she goes around, and she's going to shoot me for saying this, but she goes around, "Would you like to try my husband's meat?"
That really became a thing.
just deadpans this to people. And of course, Candace and some of the other folks there who really knew her well, you know, they start hamming it up. She walks over to Cody. Cody gets the biggest deer in the headlights look on his face. But then he's like, yeah, okay. And he eats, you know, he takes a bite of the steak strip. The first person he looks at is me and says, dude, you have to try Brian's meat.
Megan.
I'm like, all right.
Megan.
So, yeah. If you are in the market for beef, you do need to talk to them. They have a pretty amazing product. And, you know, the animals live a very dignified life, and right up until the time that they're processed. So they're good peeps. They also build a hell of a truck.
Yeah. Brian did not do so well on this outing, but on that track back at Scheid, he was Saturday Night winner. So,
yep. And he always shows.
They were discussing that. So they were doing their track walk as truck guys do. They were supposed to be on the west side. So let's talk about that for a second. They were supposed to be on the west side. And CW Cartmel was test hook and bounced like a beach ball. So they waved the whole thing off, moved him over to the east side. And the way they have the chalk lines laid out, from the barrier wall to the left chalk line was about 6-7 feet. And at Scheid, the chalk line was right to the wall. And everybody ran that sideline. And it's a high spot on the track. And Brian had gone by everybody to win that class, and they were looking at that. And I happened to notice it even during track prep before we started anything. They ran the wobble wheel down that sideline a couple times, then established a chalk line and never ran it inside of that before any pulling started. They were looking at that going, I want to be over there, but I can't be. The truck guys wanted that. They knew what was there. So, you know, coulda, woulda, shoulda.
But still, they got, I mean, I thought that the track held up really, really well. For those of you who remember the years of old or years gone by where Scheid and Jeremy's track was the place where 3.0 trucks came to die. That's not the case. And it's not the case for the Pro Stocks, and it wasn't the case for any other class that was on that track this weekend. That track was in good shape, really good shape.
It was. I was a bit surprised. I'll use this photo from you to illustrate it. The West track, I was a bit surprised at how much tire spray there was, how much they were churning the dirt up, especially in Pro Stock. Saw that a lot with those guys.
Phil Parrish's photo is even better for that.
Yeah. Yep.
There you
go. They were churning that West track up a lot. That caught me off guard a little bit. I didn't anticipate that so much on the West side. Just looking at the consistency of it, that it would peel off the top that hard, but it did. Pro Stock was a good show.
Yep.
They put on a good show. It's not that it was bad for doing this, but to do an early track walk before sunset, if I would have said that it was going to do that, no, I wouldn't have thought so.
Me neither. But I mean, those guys were also hitting that with a lot more wheel speed, I think, than they've been known to hit it with before.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, it was cooler weather. Let's be real clear. It was turbo weather.
That's a very, very good point. I looked at this I looked at the track conditions through the prism of what we saw a month ago at Scheid, and I'm going, this doesn't, there's a disconnect here. You're 100% right. The difference between the track this Saturday versus what it was at Scheid, there's no difference in the track itself, but it was ambient temperature 40 degrees cooler.
Yep.
You're making some power now.
Yeah. Yeah. They made power, and they were able to put it to the ground. I mean, I didn't see anybody, doing an excessive amount of bouncing. I mean, some guys had better passes than others, but still. And at the end of the day, Pat Gentry took the win.
Yes, he did.
Red Solo Cup for the win, baby. We got to get him on the show, because I guarantee you there's a few people in this audience who don't understand what I'm talking about. And Patrick has a pretty amazing story. He also probably, at this point in time, has probably one of the best batting averages in the sport.
Yes. He sure does.
Of anybody. I mean, let's put it this way. His first 2 passes, he won the Bowling Green ring. I don't know what happened after that, but I know that he won. He won on Saturday night and put, I don't know, 10, 12 feet on either Justin Wagler or Denny Brown. I think it was Wagler who came in second.
Yeah, that's a must get to hear his story. He's a phenomenal guy. Humble. You'd never know any of this to talk to him. But he's definitely found himself a spot, and he's got a natural talent to do it.
Yes, he does. And along the same lines, I can't remember where Joe ended up, but Kevin didn't drive. He put both of his crew guys in the seats. Patrick Gentry in the Rat, and Joe. Oh God, help me out! I tagged him in that photo.
Joe Harris, right?
Yeah, Joe Harris.
Yeah.
Joe was in the seat of the toy, and I think Joe came in 3rd or 4th, although I can't remember which.
4th, I think, sounds right.
Because I think Denny was in between them.
Yeah.
Jeremy Roberts and Jeremy Roberts just wanted one more pass, so he jumped up and ran with him. And I mean, he was, I don't know what his distance was. He 250, 275 or something. He was a good bit behind, but for obvious reasons.
He was in there.
Yeah, and he just, he just wanted to come out and have fun and support the show, and I appreciate that a lot.
Yeah. Josh, and actually I didn't get photos of it because Josh Miley was there and made a test hit on the Mitas tires. I didn't photograph his run because
I didn't either.
I was on the east side of the track, and behind me was Tinker Toy and River Rat in an open field with just the pit light on them. And I was like, so camera, go. And so I missed his runs. But he was there, trying to learn something. I think Josh might have been I don't know if this is true, might have been the first Super Farm on a 24.5 Mitas to make.
I don't know. I know that he's had them for a while. And he didn't want to. I mean, he was in the thick of the points battle, and he's like, I'm not changing anything. What if they suck for Super Farms and I give up a points lead and I can't get it back?
Yeah.
So he stuck with what he had, which I believe was I believe he had hole shots or some type of pro puller.
I'd have to go back and look at my Scheid photos to see what were on there. There's been a few guys who had the pro puller on, but Mitas, I don't know. Like, the availability has been so limited, and there's certainly been a lot of speculation going on about their availability now that supposedly that company was bought by Toyo. I can't confirm nor deny anything. I don't know what's going on there. The future availability is going to be a thing or not, I don't know.
Next year they're gonna be called Toyo Proxies Puller Edition.
Yeah.
No longer are they the street tire of choice. It's
420 SSs. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I am curious. I'm going back to check, going for my Shide gallery and looking to see if I can tell what he had on there.
But yeah, the whole family came out, and that was fun. It's always good to see them. Josh's little boy is turning into Josh more and more by the day.
Here's that Cody guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still working. I just crawled out of the throat of a combine covered in corn chaff, so that's super fun. Let me tell you, I itch.
Oh, that sounds great. You should think about sandpaper; it'll make you itch less.
Right? Yeah. No, I'm thinking even a bath at the creek sounds good right now.
Please don't turn on the camera for that.
No, we'll leave that one off. It's dark anyhow. You'll be fine.
Yeah, perfect.
That looks like pro pullers to me. On
yeah,
that,
I think you're right.
That looks like pro pullers.
Yeah.
So what I missed so far?
We talked about your awkward face when you tried Brian's meat. It's all on how you deliver the
Must not have been that awkward. It must not have been that awkward because you tried it after me.
Yep, I know. And I told him that.
So.
Nah, it was like I posted a few pictures of today, and I made the comment in the post that Cody and I had the stupid idea we wanted one last blast of summer, and so we couldn't make it down there for Friday. My nephew got married on Friday, and so I was at the wedding. And as it turns out, Cody was too, very briefly.
Yep.
Because one of my other nephews left his keys at our house, and he needed those keys because he needed to drive back down to Mississippi the next day to Ole Miss. And he only had one set of keys. And so he realized when he was on his way over to Bondurant, where the wedding was, he's like, oh crap, I forgot my keys. And obviously there wasn't anybody at the house, but I knew Cody was going to crash at our place because we were going to get up at the butt crack of dawn. Well, 2.5 hours before the aforementioned butt crack. And we were going to head down to Southwest Indiana. And so, yeah, that's what we did. It was fun. And it was a good trip. It was beautiful weather. For those of you who were anywhere near Lyons, Indiana, and you didn't go, shame on you. This is the best weather Jeremy's had in literally years for that show. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. You know, for no more than they were charging for admission, that was a good show. That was a heck of a good show.
Yes, it was.
Now,
yeah,
I mean,
you could walk over to the drag strip earlier in the afternoon and the car show, and I mean they had, I don't even know how, I mean, what, I didn't hear a total, but how many cars do you think that they had there between cars, trucks, and everything? I mean, there's
at that show that was huge.
Yeah, I mean it was, I don't know, there's probably like 150 cars, 200 cars there.
Yeah, so, that was neat, and there were some really well done. You know, I know some of the people who are watching tonight if I say well done trucks, they'll say, "Oh, you're one of them stupid flat bill wearing idiots." And Andy, if you're watching, yeah, I'm sorry, but there were a few pretty well done trucks there.
Yeah.
So, but no, the turnout was great. The weather was beautiful. Are there improvements that Jeremy could make? Yes. Some of them were beyond his control. Some is just a function of time. We've got, there was no way, because this is an unsanctioned hook. I mean, it's, a Southern Indiana brush pull, for lack of a better term. There's no way to get the results out there unless you've got somebody actively managing that. And because Rodney wasn't there, and he wasn't using the Outlaw app or whatever. So that's one thing that probably needs to be addressed, and I know Jeremy knows that.
You do what you can. It was totally unplanned. With like Brett Markham in this image. You got to see him hammer the truck, but if things had gone the way they were supposed to be, we were supposed to be in North Carolina. I shouldn't have been there. This truck shouldn't have been there. We were doing what we could do, and it was totally impromptu and just off the cuff, so to speak.
Yep, and that's and my comments about things that Jeremy can and will do better are not throwing him under the bus.
No,
Jeremy and I are good friends. We go back a long ways, and these guys know that. But they're things that we can work on. And if you ask any promoter that we've ever had on the show, and one of them actually said it not too long ago, when I asked the question, "What's the best advice that you've ever been given?" As far as relative to promoting an event like this, one of the pieces of advice that is always very, very helpful is don't try to shoot for perfect, because you ain't gonna get there, and you'll kill yourself trying. Jeremy needs a way to get the results out there. That's something that's probably manageable. That can be done. Personally, I think he needs Starlink out there in a real bad way, but that's just because I'm on T-Mobile, and T-Mobile does not do well in Southwest Indiana. Apparently, that is fairly strong Verizon country. So I didn't have a signal pretty much from the time I opened the door, and until we got back to Terre Haute. And then once we got back to Terre Haute on Sunday, my phone pretty much exploded with people. What are the results? Who's going live? Are you going live? Why didn't you go live? Folks, I have a job to do. If I can go live, I will. But if I don't have signal, I ain't going live. Sorry. But no, it's a process of continuous improvement, and Jeremy is dedicated to doing that.
Yep.
Right. I think that's like the common theme for a lot of these places is, they're not afraid to make changes, make improvements every year. It's the ones that are kind of stuck in their ways, and this is how we've always done it. And so those are the tracks that are fun, because it's really cool to see, like, I was here last year, what's the change for this year type of thing, and what's, how did that affect this or that. So that's always fun. But they did a fantastic job at the track, and I can tell you it's probably going to be even better next year.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And Cody is also determined that next year he wants to bring a side-by-side with him, because he wants to go and hit that track.
Absolutely. I'm either dragging a buddies, or he's making him go down there and pull too, just so we can go drive the track, because that looks like a blast. So.
I remember one year, I think it was the first year that we did that. I think he had just opened that track, and he left it open all night. And so all night long, all you saw was headlights getting air. And I mean, when I left the place at like 1:30 in the morning to go back to the hotel, there were still a few side-by-sides, ripping laps around that track.
Yeah.
This, in my experience, doesn't work very well. Come Crossville Dragway and Rod McMaster's experience with Levon Miller's electric scooter, which is now known as the Bone Crusher 9000 because Rod spent the night in the hospital with bone crushes. And some of the stuff that happened extracurricularly at Virginia Motorsports Park last year on their motocross track. I'm an insurance guy. I just go, no, this probably has bad ideas written all over it. I want guys who can take a green flag or a tree and actually race, not because they had too much fun the night before.
You apparently didn't look at some of the Outlaw Classic trucks.
I not only looked at them, I correlated.
You closed your eyes.
I found them both on the pulling track and on the drag strip. We're going to leave that lie for a future episode where I can rail about that.
Right. But since we're talking outlaw trucks, let's talk about that class.
Yes.
We saw some interesting things there, and some of them coming out of mothballs, which was really cool.
Yeah. Did you have one of those, a photo of one of those, of that, the one we're talking about in your stack?
Not yet. I've got the photo. I just haven't edited it yet. So we're going to have to talk in generic terms, or you're going to have to pull yours up.
I'll pull mine up. It's going to be, real generic. There's a certain, this is going to be too obfuscating. There's a P-Pump Duramax truck with multiple turbochargers that disappeared a handful of years ago. The Supermax. And it disappeared for a very good reason. Chris Watson, unfortunately, the man behind it, who built a lot of it, who I talked to at Fort Recovery years ago and had a healthy amount of respect for, he passed away. And so the truck really disappeared. And this weekend, I'm sorry, I'm trying to talk about it and find the gallery for this as well. The truck reappeared for the first time again, and glad that it's being looked after one more time. And I believe it's his brother who now is behind the truck. So it's cool. You get to see it again, and didn't have a great pass, didn't get off the line really, didn't get up on top of the turbochargers and launch. But, I mean, after it being parked for so long, super cool that the thing, it's out there. It's out there, and it's going to live. Yeah. And it's a great testament to Chris that we get to have it still be there. Chris was quiet. He was a guy that you had to really, approach him in the pit area or whatever to get to know him, as it were. He wasn't going to be boisterous or out there in the mainstream, but I mean, it's back. The P-Pump Supermax is back.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Also makes me wonder where Galati's truck is, if we're talking about P-Pump Duramaxes.
Yes, Chris Galati has one out of New York, and I know he's fought that thing tooth and nail.
Mm-hmm.
And haven't. I'm trying to think if I saw his last year or not. Might have. But I don't remember where or if. It's been a minute.
I did. I saw it in Farley last year at the Farley Nationals, I think. It was either then or I saw it at the first Farley Nationals, the COVID year. So it was either in August of 20 or June of 21, and it struggled. It looked cool, always does.
Yep.
But it he fought it to get it off the line, and it didn't go very far. I know that there's a mean machine in that thing.
There is.
If we get past the teething problems. Plus, it looks cool because it's got 2 stacks instead of 1.
Speaking of meanness, that also did not fulfill promise for Saturday, and I'm sorry, Jeremy, but the shop truck didn't quite go how we wanted it, and he tipped his hand and said that it's not 100%. It's not going to go right, but it's an LML based block, Waggler heads, screw blown Duramax diesel. It does spray a bit of nitrous. That's used more as a cooling feature, not as a power adder. It's really the closest we've got to an all motor screw. Well, no one's doing this. Like this is just insanity. It didn't behave itself, not like it did a few years ago. When this motor was in the drag car that unfortunately crashed, it was a lot more crisp. It ran a lot harder. I don't want to say anything bad about it because no one's doing this, right? This is so over the top that no one else is even trying to do something like this. He's the only guy in the world, and SNS and Andre Dusek is trying to help him with it to figure it out. The potential is astronomical. If you go back and look at one of the, I think it was one of the Firepunk Friday roundtables from one of the spring races at Waggler, where you had Levon and Lynn Miller and Ryan Milliken from Hardway and Derek Rose from DNR Customs and Ben Shadday from Dunright Diesel, and a few of these guys sitting doing a roundtable discussion about the drag racing application for diesel and what it would take to really push that so far. And I know this is a polling show and I'm going in the drag racing world, but they talk about how the V8 would be so much better than the inline 6. The inline 6 is a tractor engine that you go upstairs beyond 6,000 RPM and you just run into so many problems that the V8 in terms of efficiency can beat. And they really thought like this was a way to do it, but who's going to develop it? Because of the astronomical expense to make it work. You're talking about 1, 2, 3 guys on the planet versus if you strap a screw blower on a Hemi, you're going to have 100 guys who can provide that data feedback and make it work.
Yep.
It's just it's a barrier pushing that isn't talked about, and I don't think people realize. And within the sport of pulling itself, that same barrier is being pushed in places like Pro Stock and Diesel Super Stock, but there's no one sitting down to do a tech discussion about how they're doing it or being freely willing to admit what the barriers are, what the ceilings are, what the overcoming means of pushing beyond it are. I think that's a conversation that needs to happen in the coming weeks, months of this show to sort of understand where the hell are we. And with that, I want to push into a new direction about 5.0 Pro Stock.
Well, hold on. Before we do that, can we talk about Randy Overton?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Let's hold on to 5.0 Pro Stock.
Can I have can I have one thing about Jeremy's truck though?
Yeah.
And I told Ryan about this. I said he's doing something nobody else has done, but like adding the nitrous in there, it's an on or off type of switch. It's not a ramp. And the comment that I made to Ryan was, it's kind of like Scott Jensen with the American ethanol truck. Like, he had such a hard time because no one else is doing that, figuring out how do we make this a gradual slope to where I need to be versus an all at once is what he was having problems with. And it's kind of the same thing. It's kind of my thought.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the case of Jeremy's truck, I don't know that it isn't a ramp because it is a total EFI controlled truck. It's a common rail truck. So I'm sure I know that the truck is standalone. It's probably there, but what's your reference point? Like, you don't have. There are a few. Plenty is the wrong word to use. There's a few turbo diesel standalone trucks where you can go, all right, here's my reference point for the ramp in of a nitrous. But it's supercharged, there's nothing. He's on
you're talking about two different things. You're talking on the drag strip, they're doing that, not on a pulling track though. Right?
Well, and so that isolates him even further.
Right.
You know, there's no one doing it on the drag strip like him. There's no one doing it on the pulling track like him. It's total blank. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Right.
And it's not to say that Jeremy's like, I don't mean it to sound like he's stupid. He's not. He didn't create this out of thin air. It's a brilliant piece. He's pushing against a wall that no one even has had the balls to try to push against and figure out what can happen.
Yeah, to say that he's in uncharted territory would probably be the understatement of the year.
It would be. It would.
Nobody's doing this, so somebody. I mean, they don't call it the bleeding edge for nothing.
No,
right?
They don't. So let's go, Ryan, to your point. The DX460 P pump engine. That's another creation of Jeremy's that there are very, very few of. 3.
Yeah.
Randy Overton has one. Weimer single charger pump, Weimer single charger, and a Weimer 8-cylinder billet pump. And we reviewed the video where Randy got his ass kicked when it hung a plunger a couple weeks ago. Pump was sent back to Weimer. It was rebuilt. Turbo was checked out. It was good. Engine was checked out at Wagler's. It was good. Coming out party was for Saturday night at this event in the Outlaw class. And this happened. And it has come to light. It was a valve cover seal leak that led to that fire. It was just an oil fire. Otherwise, the engine went way upstairs and kicked ass.
Mm-hmm. He went past me. I can almost make the numbers out on the dash. And if you scroll back to the other photo,
was that one was further
no,
down?
it must be that one. If you were to zoom in real close, and I've sized it down, so I don't know if you can see it. He went past me on fire at 5,900 plus RPM. But I know that motor has turned, or is capable of turning. I believe Jeremy told me over 7.
Yes.
So Randy was he was not going 10/10. But good Lord, that thing sounds mean and nasty and woof. But it was also on fire, so.
It happens. But
it looked cool.
It's a bad piece, and the more guys who get this in their hands and start developing it and pushing that limit, we don't necessarily have to be at an event where it's all commons all the time anymore.
Right.
It's there. You just
Right.
got to be brave enough to open the checkbook and go, all right, how do we develop this thing?
Yep.
So it is there.
Or you have to have lots and lots of disposable motors.
Well, we haven't proven to break any of the disposable motors yet.
Well, no, but
we've had fires, we've had problems. We haven't broken one yet.
Right, but you said we can have a class that's not all Cummins anymore, and the first person that made me think of was who's going to have the balls to try this with Ford with a Power Stroke, and you and I both know the answer is who's going to do it. It's going to be Jesse Warren,
and he already did.
Right, he's got that's a billet 6.0 in shark bait. Ooh-ah.
Yeah, there are 3 of those. I know where 2 of them are bound for, and I don't know where the third is going. One of the 2 designated targets, it's not going in a pulling truck, but it's going in a fast as hell drag truck. And you could probably figure out from there where that's going to land.
Uh-huh.
But that's the thing. It's cool to see that boundary being pushed. So where I wanted to come back to is the step back from the boundary push. It was passed that 5.0 Pro Stock is going to be a thing, I guess, as a regional class. And I wanted to hear from you two specifically. What are your thoughts about it? Because you live in a world where those are a thing. You got to see them. I don't. Out here, they don't exist. So what are your thoughts on 5.0 as a Pro Stock?
Okay, so here's my take, and this is going to piss off some of you Champs Tour Pro Stock fans, and I don't care. To the casual pulling fan, you put Jason Rowan's yellow one next to Cody Yarrick's tractor, his 5.0. They both sound just as mean and ornery. They both have that signature Pro Stock chop. They look the part. They make the right noises. Some of them sound mean and angry and poppy and snappy and crackly and poppy like Denny Brown's does. And I believe that we can probably all agree that is the meanest, nastiest sounding thing on the planet. Yes. It sounds like it sounds. I mean, let's put it this way: Denny Brown's tractor makes Carlton Cope's tractor sound like it's in 7th grade choir. Whereas, Denny Brown sounds like James Hetfield. Yes. And and where Denny sounds like James Hetfield after a 5th of Jack and about 3 packs of Marlboro Menthols. But getting back to the 5.0 Pro, here's the thing. To the casual fan, they make the same noises. They do the same things. They put on the great show. And without regard to how much horsepower they make, because they do make less, they're still putting on the show. And the best part is, as long as you don't do something stupid behind the wheel and you change the oil, you can run the damn things pretty much all season long. Now, somebody's going to throw this up on Pull Off and say, well, so-and-so had to tear his motor apart 63 and a half times last year because blah, 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 blah. I don't care. Generally speaking, these 5.0 Pros put on just as good a show. They are less expensive to build. They are easier to maintain and less expensive to maintain. And you can actually have fun without being a slave to the machine. So that's my hot take on it. You're free to disagree with me. I don't, that's fine. I love, and make no mistake, I love both classes of those tractors. There's nothing cooler than watching Carlton or watching Denny, sound like the motors are going to come apart and then they take off like a bat out of hell. I think that's cool as all get out. I also think that there's something to be said for having just as much fun or putting on just as good a show for the fan and being able to do it week after week after week with less maintenance and less, oh boy, it's Tuesday, we got to tear the motor apart and we got to fix the charger and yada, yada, yada. You don't have to do that. Adam brings up a good point that, with people jumping from 4.1 to a 5.0, but not seeing it being huge out in the eastern part of the country. I'm going to take issue with that. I'm going to say that remains to be seen. I happen to know, I talked to Justin Wagler 2 years ago, COVID year, in Nashville, Illinois. And Justin sat on his side-by-side, or in his side-by-side, and told me, man, if they would just bring that 5.0 class east, I wouldn't build a pro. And at the time, he was already working on, assembling the tractor that he runs now, that came in second on Saturday. He said that 5.0 class is where it's at. He said you can have a great ride, and it doesn't, just destroy and monopolize your life. Because there comes a point where, when you've got one of these, let alone, guys like RJ and Brandon or Jason Rowan or the Lemkes or the Deppens, where they have multiples, 3, 4, 5, 73, whatever. It eats your lunch for you. It is a full-time job. And if you don't believe me, you go find Tim Borwald and you ask him what color his hair was before Jason Round started buying pro stocks. Tim's going to hit me for that comment, but I don't care. His hair was dark black. Now it's very, very, it looks like my beard. Very salt and pepperish. They're a lot of work. It's, they're a lot to maintain. They're expensive to maintain. And yes, they do provide a big thrill, and the people who love them absolutely love them. And I'm in that crowd, but I also see the benefit or the upside to a 5.0. And Keith Hanenberg, if you're watching along on the screen, Keith is absolutely right on that 5.0 comment about the small block guys, staying competitive. So will it take off? Will it take off in Michigan? Will it take off in Ohio? That remains to be seen. I know that there's one that's going to come out of Pennsylvania next year, because I know that there's a chassis that's headed out there right now, if it's not already there. I know we have a handful of them being built out here, and we've got a handful of them that have already been built. You want to know, whether they're fun or not? You send Richard Warren an email or a message on the face tubes and say, is the Cottonmouth, is that fun? Guarantee you the first words out of his mouth is, yep. So, is there a future for it? Yes, I think there is. And I think it's a good future. So, my hot take, will we see it in Bowling Green? No, probably not. Will we see it in Louisville? Probably not. But will we see it, as a pretty hotly contested state level class or regional class? Absolutely. Guys who want to have, a little bit of a summer or whatever, they, they're going to look towards something like that. And they want they want a summer, but they want to have fun and they want to have a good ride. It's a great place to look. I'll shut up.
I'll second pretty much all those type of things. But for me, it's, the cheaper build. And then the fact that, if I don't have somewhere to go this weekend, I can go pull with another association type of thing. That's, maybe a couple hours away, close, by whatever, like being able to have that kind of between associations, being able to go back and forth and kind of fit the same rules. So that to me also, if you don't have that many hooks type of thing and you want to go pulling, you can go pulling just about anywhere at that point. So that's the other big thing for me is being able to cross platform different associations and not have to swap chargers or swap this or that type of thing to go do that.
Keith, it's either 10 or 10-2. It's the same. I mean, they're running it the same way.
So my unpopular opinion is probably going to be, I haven't seen 5.0 pros. Okay, let's establish that as fact. I haven't seen them. I'm east of you guys. I'm in an area where in my state there is one pro stock in a barn that hasn't been out in a couple of years, and otherwise within my state there are no pro stocks. There are no tractors that are going to become pro stocks unless someone builds one new. Within Region 2, where I live, the only thing that could become a pro stock again, where pro stock as a regional class does not exist, is OSTPA guys backing down, and none of them seem interested in doing that. I sit there and look at this class and go, if we want an open charger class, we have that out here on the east side. It's called Light Pro. If you want a component class, we have that. It's called Pro Stock or Super Stock. I don't know where this class slots in what pullers you're going to claim to bring up and create a series around, because I don't think they exist. And I don't think anybody's going to open the checkbook for a tractor that now costs $250,000 instead of $400,000. It's still a massive expense to establish a circuit for which there isn't one. You're going to build for what exists. I find this to be a class that is successful. Has its place out west with Outlaws. They've proven that. And so here, let me bring in another point. They make it work on a box charger. Everything I see about NTPA's rule about 5.0, there is no box charger. Now you're playing the game of who is going to spend the most damn money with a charger supplier for the latest upgrade, the latest wheel, the latest design, the latest smoothbore, blah, 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 shit that we see go on in 4.1 and Super Farm. I don't agree that this is a good class move for out where I am. Geographically speaking, I think this is bullshit.
Fair point.
That's just where I'm at out here. And you're free to disagree with me.
How many? All right. So the one pro in the state of Michigan that's in a barn and hasn't moved under its own power in a few years, is it a component?
Yes.
Jeff's?
Yes. No. Harmon's.
Oh, I really want them to bolt a 5.0 on that and come out.
I'd love to see that thing do anything. I mean, just make smoke. Too. It'd be a sweet, right?
Me too. God,
but in Michigan, there are no other pros. There's none. There's none. Well,
yep.
Well, okay. We could expand that to the Phantom Borson tractors, but look, there's none. There's nobody. No one's running a pro in Michigan anymore. Nobody. And
Keith Hainenberg just commented, maybe he's building one.
Well, that'd be awesome.
Never say never.
Never say never, and he's one who could.
Know, and you definitely never say never about Keith, because you and I both know better.
Yes, absolutely. No, he could. He could.
Yeah.
I would say the northeastern 2/3 of Indiana, there are none. There are some in Ohio, but they stick to PPO Ohio State because they've got a great. Yeah, I'm sorry, Keith. Yes, Jeff does have one or two, but they fall in the same category that Harmon's do. Haven't seen them in 2-3 years. So, and okay, if we're going to go that route, so does Smith. He's got a couple. And outside of Bowling Green, we don't see them. So what are we talking about? We're talking about ghost tractors. There's guys who've got them, but they collect dust more than they do blow smoke. I wanted to, if we're going to talk about 5.0 as a viability, has anybody talked to those guys? Are they going to bring them out? Would they bolt that Charger on and suddenly get out here? Or is it just going to be another sort of deal where we can't do it and it stays collecting dust? We didn't advance anything. And even if we do, we're talking about Michigan specific. We're talking about what, 4 tractors? You're going to build a Region 2 circuit around 4 tractors? No.
5. There's one coming out of Pennsylvania.
5. Okay.
No, but hey, it's got to start somewhere.
Yeah. Henry might.
It's an option.
I'm not arguing with Keith on that. I know. And Keith, you're right. Henry could bring 3, 2 with component chassis and 1 ag if you went 5.0. You're not wrong. I won't dispute that. But I'm still looking for 10. Where's 10? Where is something that take your puller hat off, put your promoter hat on. Where am I getting 10 tractors from in Region 2 that I can go to farm convention in January and go, I'm going to sell this class?
Right.
I don't see it. I'm not saying that it can't work or that it's bad. I'm saying, where is it?
But I think to Ryan's point, it's got to start somewhere. So out of the gate, you're not going to have it right now, but give it a couple of years. And I get your point too, Charles, of as a promoter, you're trying to put it on, you're re-weighting the sled for 5 hooks or whatever. That's also hard. So, but I don't know.
Lisa, I would kill to see that, because that's a tractor that's on my bucket list to shoot, and there aren't a ton of them left that are on my bucket list that I haven't already had a shot at. Soup Line is one of them. I would love to see those yellow wheels again.
But even at 5.0, is Campbell going to do that? You're at 5.0. You're talking component for reliability. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, you don't have to go component. You can still get it done with an ag chassis. Come on. If we're talking 5.0 in terms of reliability, it's still enough horsepower where you could break everything in an ag chassis. If Light Pros can blow shit up,
right?
5.0 can't. Do the math on how much more air is available in a 5.0 versus a 4.1. We're talking a step change in power. I don't know. I'm not knocking the idea. Don't get me wrong. But where's it coming from? Where is it going to be? Who are you robbing from? And what class are you stealing from? If you're going to go to a fair convention and try to promote the class as pro stock, what are you stealing from? You're now not offering that promoter in lieu of this. And if this is what's in lieu of what you're taking away, how many tractors you really got to offer it as a thing? That's my question. I'm not hating the idea. I do really, really love real pro stock at 680 cubic inch, which so many on pull off hate, and open Charger, because it's pure. It's real. It is what it is. 5.0 is a cap. Okay, I get why the cap is there. Where's the iron coming from that you think you're going to get to sell it? And I don't know where it is. Not out here. Where you guys are geographically, yes, I get it. Where I'm at, no, I don't. I don't understand this.
I can get you 2 more in Ohio.
Class where I just go, how many goddamn 24/5 single Charger classes are we going to make?
I can get you 2 more in Ohio. Jeff, one of you outlaw guys help me out with the last name. Jeff, Ohio, Road Gear, Deer, Road Farmer.
Jerry Runau was the guy. Road
right.
beer farmer.
That track that one went to Brandon Coates, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that a class could be made. Will
Parker,
it take time? Parker. Right? Thank you, Jeremy.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Jeff Parker. Yep. They've got two. One's like an 83 or 8400 sheet metal. And the other, I believe, is a 50-20. But and there's and Adam, to your point, there's 4-1s. Yes, I mean, it's not like it. They're not quite as. There aren't as many of them as there are, like pro stock gas trucks. Like in every third barn in the state of Missouri, there's at least one pro stock gas truck.
Don't get me started on pro stock truck right now.
We're not going to. We're not going down that road.
That'll be another fight that I'm ready and willing to pick.
I know. But I think that you could. Cody's apparently bored with us. We have bored him. Oh,
we bored him so much he wanted to show up in person and scream at us.
Right?
Damn, he's back. Whoops, was that out loud? Cheers. There's enough 4-1 guys I know that still have the fever and have the bug that want to go bigger. Maybe this is an option for them. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I know that the Outlaws have really made it work for them. It has a massive following out here, And fans, your casual average fan, they don't give a rat's ass whether or not it's got a 6 7/8 inch charger. And no, nobody's spinning that yet. Give it 3 more months. But yeah, you put up or shut up. Prove it. Who's spinning a 7-inch charger?
Not as well. You said 6 7/8.
Bring out the tape measure. My God.
Yeah, don't give me that inches matter BS. But
hey, my favorite tracker in the whole wide world is named that. Now
I know you knew I pulled that out for a reason. But I think that it could be made a class. I think that back east it could pick up get some legs. We'll see what happens. I mean, if the numbers are dying, because I mean, let's be clear. You got to have some pretty big stones if you're going to go, run and compete with the Jason Rowans and the Lemkes and the Simons of the world. Those are big. Let's be real clear. State level guys, they don't pull out many wins against, the big guys very often. I mean, it happens. It happens, but it's a tall order. You're working hard to do it.
You do. I guess I look at it and go, and again, it's geographic bias.
Yep.
I look at super stock on the Region 2 circuit, and I go, all right, we've got 3, 4, 5 guys who've kept it alive. Region 2 pro stock has been dead. There's been no one. 0. No hooks for a couple of years. You're going to throw this out there and all right, we're going to go revive pro stock, and you're going to ignore super stock. You're not going to try to keep that alive where you've already had guys committed. I know we said we aren't going to go there. The super stock limits for the new Region 2 class. I go for Region 2. I go, where'd that come from? Who are these guys?
Yep.
Where's the pressure? And I don't see it. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm not saying it's a bad class. I'm looking specifically at my own personal geographic interest and going, I don't get it. I don't.
Right.
I don't. I don't know how you sell this to a promoter. Hey, we got this new 5.0 Pro Stock class. Oh, by the way, there's nobody in it, just like there was nobody in real Pro Stock. What are we doing?
Maybe it
sounds to me like one of you commenters needs to tag Richwine in the comments, and Richwine needs to come and face the firing squad. We haven't had him on in a while.
Richwine's fault. I'm not saying it's Richwine's fault.
No, but if you're going to get an answer, as to where the logic was, or what that thought process looks like, who better to give it to you than that guy? I mean, to a point. I'd be interested in hearing his take on it.
I think it's a WPI decision, which we will not get.
Perhaps.
Maybe they know something we don't, and if they do, great. You know about something, awesome. Like if you sell it, and prove me wrong. Like book 7, 8, 5.0 Pro Stock hooks in Region 2 next year. I'll be there. Awesome. I want to see it. I've told you guys I haven't seen them. I want to see one. I think it'd be cool. I think there's a place for it in the sport. I just look at the world I live in and I go, I don't get it.
So the other thing that I look at is like, okay, Pro Stock's like you're spending a lot of money every year to keep moving up in horsepower. Travis can tell you what they were 5 years ago in horsepower and stuff. And I think there's a lower barrier to entry at a 5.0 to get in and stay competitive year over year over year versus the Pro Stocks. I mean, it's not just expensive to build it, it's expensive to keep chasing that.
But is that true? You're still going to buy a component chassis. You're still going to go 680 cubic inches. You're still going to have the big pump. You're just going to have a limited charger, which is going to keep you from blowing shit up after every 10th run. Now you get, 20. I don't know. I don't know what you guys are. Again, you guys are out there in the outlaw world. What is the reliability on it? You're still building a Pro Stock. You're still talking deep in 6-figure territory to build one. Am I wrong?
You're not wrong, but I think the reliability may be longer than you think.
That's fair.
I've never asked Dave Yark how many passes he can legitimately, or Clint Medding or whoever, pick your poison there, Tony Wortman. How many could he actually make? How many hooks could you actually make? Can you run 2 seasons without, completely freshening the motor? Or is it 1.5? Is it 1? Holy crap, Tyler Hendrickson's on. You're kidding me. That's insane. How you doing, Tyler? Shouldn't you be like harvesting something?
Travis, what do you mean? What do you mean by that? I'm happy to do it. If you meant me.
Send him the link. Get him on here. Let's have him talk.
Yeah.
Travis, you got time? Come hop on. Join us. Charles will send you the link.
Yep.
It's been a hot minute since we caught up with you anyway.
Yeah.
The original investment versus yearly operating costs is what he's talking about, separating the two questions.
Okay. Yeah. You're right. Yeah. Exactly. That's what I mean. So yearly operating cost is low. So is 5.0 good in terms of barrier to entry, where you still have to build a component chassis and build a 680 motor and the rotating assembly and all that, where you're limiting air and thereby limiting fuel, versus open where sky's the limit and you're doing the reassembly bit. Is 5.0 good as a newbie coming in with that barrier to entry? And I don't know that it is, because I think the major, you can take away the fuel and air expense All right, fuel and air you're not spending now. What's a pump? 20 grand and a big Charger 15. Take 10 grand off that number, you're still spending it on everything else.
Yeah, but your reliability over years, you're not updating that, you're not updating that and doing all that every year after year, probably. If you can get, like Ryan said, a couple seasons out of there, your cost of ownership goes up, goes down. Yeah, whatever. Mass hard. It's been a long day.
Are you not updating that though? Outlaw is a box Charger where you can't update it. The NTPA rule doesn't say that.
Oh.
Are you not now in a deal where it's like Super Farm, where every 6 months it's the latest greatest?
So that puts a whole different spin on things. So it's not. That's not. They didn't put a box Charger in there.
No.
So that could change things a little bit up. People jumping across associations at that point. Because if a Region 2 player wants to come pull the Outlaws, they're going to have a box Charger on there.
That's my point.
And the same with PPL.
We're not in the same. It's not the same sandbox. You're in this diminishing deal now where you're just fucking, sorry for my French, just pushing the envelope within this box over and over and over. And I got the latest, greatest Charger. I got this new Apex. I got this new Hart. I got this new Weimer. And you're just thousands of. All right, you're not spending 15 grand for the latest, greatest, but you're spending 12.5 every 6 months.
Well, that would be, yeah. So now I see more where you're coming from on that, Charles.
Yeah.
But now this is more of an organizational thing. And by the way, that wasn't French, that was English.
We try to keep this a rated G show, and pardon me.
I know.
I get a little passionate. Sorry.
I'm being a smart ass because I can and I'm good at it. So this is sounding more and more, maybe right there. Now this is sounding more and more like an NTPA problem and not a class problem.
I don't know.
Because
I'm not hanging anybody particularly, but I'm devil's advocate asking questions from where I sit.
But if the rule is written that opens the door to who can spend the most money on a 5.0 Charger, then it is no better than the Super Farm and the 4.1. If everybody's got a box, then
and we have seen that parity over and over and over and over. I don't care. It doesn't have to be tractor pulling. This can apply to any spec of racing. You can put this cap on things and go, all right, this is where we're going to limit on a performance basis. But you can never, ever legislate against a deep wallet. Somebody will spend the money to find a way to get around it or find the advantage, and they'll do it. So 5.0 Pro Stock. All right. I'm going down to Monroe County or Weimer or whoever has the deal for the larger size on that turbo and going, here's $100,000. Make me the best damn turbocharger anybody ever saw at 5 inches.
Yep.
What rule are you going to write against me?
I'm going to write a claim rule.
Okay, it's only got to be
I'm
6
going to write
blades.
A claim rule.
Okay, only got to be 6 blades? All right. Make me another one. This one's only 6 blades. Oh, now the angle of curvature or the rate of change in the blade can only be X versus Y times Z. Okay, now optimize that. You're never going to beat a wallet.
My claim rule still works. If I can claim your Charger by paying $1,000 and 2 chickens and a side of beef, then all right, your $100,000 Charger just cost me about what, $1,600.
You've now hit the thing. You've hit the thing that I do agree does work. You put the claimer rule in and you put a dollar amount on it. All right, your Charger is whatever. The Bassmaster 9000. But if I can buy it for $6,000 and you spent 27 on it,
then you're an idiot.
Yeah. So you hit it. You hit it.
I knew I could come up with something. I knew I could find something. I just had to think about it for a little bit.
No, you're right on that one. You're right on that one. I do like the turbo claimer rule. I think that's a positive, and it lacks acceptance within pulling world.
Oh God, nobody does it anymore, do they?
I think it's still on the books here in the thumb. We've got a box charger rule for the farm class, and it comes with claimer rule. Okay. And I do like it. It was put in early, and I hope it's still there. I'll have to check. It's one of the few areas where I think Roundy Round Racing actually gets one right. There's the mod class, the IMCA mod classes, and they got claimer rules on the engine. $5,000, you buy the guy's engine. I don't know. Wow, I don't know if it's 5,000 anymore. It used to be back when I paid attention to that stuff.
Probably 10 now.
Yeah, it's probably 10 now. But regardless, that is one area where I sit there and go, all right, if we're going to do a 5.0 or hell, this could work for 4.1. It could work for a super farm. We're going to put a spec on the charger. Fine. Put a claimer rule on the top and say, all right, you think your charger, you think the other guy's charger is illegal, you can buy it for and define a dollar amount. I think it would cut down a lot of crap, but I don't think the manufacturers would support that necessarily because the manufacturers are also in the business of selling turbochargers and sponsoring the series. So where does the pressure come from? Follow the dollar.
Right.
I don't want to push this argument too much farther tonight, guys. It's been a good conversation. I've enjoyed it. And there's certainly no hard feelings. It's cool to kind of push those boundaries and talk about that kind of stuff.
You have an open invite to come out here and watch some frickin' Outlaw 5.0s, right?
Yeah.
Any frickin' time you want.
There's that whole calendar thing with time paid days off. That, yeah. We all got jobs. We all get it.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
I'd love to. I don't believe you for a second that they're anything less than what the big pros are. I believe that they are. I do want to come out and see them. I'm only coming at it from geographic perspective and going, how does this grow what we're doing? And out here, I don't see it. Out there, maybe it works.
Yeah, we're doing okay with it.
Yeah.
But you guys are kicking ass with like,
hey,
we can't get them.
Hey, mister, I paid for this. In fact, I bought a hoodie and I gave him $50. The hoodie was $30 and getting change was difficult. I said, well, just give me a t-shirt and we're good. So there.
Jeremy, thank you for having us out. I'm glad you hopped on. Thank you for having us out. We had, as always, we had a killer time. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And we do look forward to doing it again. All three of us.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. And it was fun for me this weekend hanging out with you guys and Adam too. The three of you, the four of you guys, we make a pretty good team. Like hanging out with you guys, and I don't, I'm kind of a shy guy. I don't have a lot of close friends, but time spent with the three of you is really good time for me.
Yep.
And Adam, you could have come over and tried Brian's meat. That's your own dumb. That's
yes,
your own
you could have
fault.
And it was
but
good.
But you wanted to go and curl up with your wife, and we can't blame you for that.
No,
we don't blame you for that.
Yeah.
Of course, you could have just, brought her over. That would have worked too. But
she would have enjoyed Brian's meat too.
Yeah. It's getting late.
Adam, please make sure that you play this for Tiffany and then just like record the face that she makes. Because I'm not sure if she just puts her hand over her face like this or if she turns like 7 shades of crimson. Either way, it'll be hysterical.
Yeah.
And also, we shouldn't short sell Brian's mac and cheese. That was pretty damn tasty.
The bacon mac and cheese.
That was legit.
Mint.
So so pro tip for those of you who are into the sport and are looking for, I don't know, if you've never gotten in with the 3-0 guys, you should get in with the 3-0 guys, because the 3-0 guys and girls, they eat well.
Yeah.
And they drink well.
Yes.
It's been a while since I've had Bullet at, in a Pits, and there was a handle of Bullet kind of thrust into my face, and I was told to consume some, so I did. Local custom.
And if you're looking for a side of beef, Quality Diesel Performance, Hartford City, Indiana.
That's
Brian
right.
Shue, get a hold of them. You will not go wrong.
No, you won't. And when is Brian Shue gonna jump up to the 3.6 class and put cut tires on it and leave it there?
At this point, probably not going to happen.
Boo! That thing looks so good on 3.6, in a 3.6 trim.
It does. I don't think it's going to happen. And that's the other thing that was on my agenda we didn't talk about. I don't think he's going to do it for one very specific reason. The UCC rule that was handed down on Saturday.
Yes, let's talk about that. I got to go refill, but talk amongst yourselves.
I didn't hear this, so this is.
Cody. This is the rule that we've been waiting for.
2022, they allowed 2 trucks.
Yep.
Break them up any way you want.
Yep.
For 2023, the rule has been handed down. It's going back to the way it was: 1 truck, 3 events.
Yep.
Yes.
And I think the Shoes would keep with what they've had there in the past. They did take advantage. So I'm not going to knock on them for 2022, because they were one of, I'll say, 3 teams who did do 2 trucks, but they were in-house builds. His dad's truck did the drag racing and dyno, and Brian pulled Iron Maiden in the sled pull. In the case of DNR Customs, Derek Rose had blue balls for drag race and dyno, and Kevin Morell's truck was an Exo Bryant truck that he rebuilt and set up for Kevin, to be a sled pull. And in the case of Burkhardt's, Last Minute and Cheap Hooker, both the same team, their trucks. Everybody else was a split. And there was a lot of back and forth over the last year. Is that okay? Is that what we want? And it's been decided for 2023. We're going to go back to 1 truck, 3 events, the way that God rest his soul, Turbo Tom
would have wanted it.
Would have wanted it and would have done it. And I really don't have a problem with that. I got a lot of sleep this past year at UCC because we weren't wrenching trucks. I got to go to bed. That was nice. But I missed it. I missed the thrash, the sleep deprivation, the hustle. I know a lot of guys who are against it because of the money. And we're right back to the same fight we've already had tonight. But where something gets lost is a lot of time and a lot of energy gets spent referring to this event as UCC. UCC stands for Ultimate Call Out Challenge. Do it, bitch.
Yep.
It's the ultimate. Bring what you've got. I get the expense. I've been on the forefront of it. I'm tied really, really close to a team everybody knows. I know what was spent to make that all happen. It was astronomical. Insane. Tony could have a 5-0 pro stock, okay? For what that shit costs. But it's the Ultimate Call Challenge. This is a no limits, no holds barred event.
Yep.
And now we're back to what it should have been the whole time, in my opinion. I have to be careful. I'm an employee of the event. Full disclosure. I'm the announcer there. But this is what it is. It's
But
one shot, 3 events, throw down. The limits are, and I have to even actually check the rule book on this. Factory firewall and bring it. Like, do it.
So back to the innovation portion and trying new things. You got to give them credit for trying it. They found out.
I was not opposed to what they did last year. I wasn't.
Yeah, and I just like it's a neat deal, but there's just something unique about it. It's one truck in all 3 events. Yeah. Like, let's see it happen.
I wasn't opposed to it last year, especially in being coming off COVID. And I don't mean for that to sound like an excuse, but there was we all know this. There was so much stuff you just literally couldn't get.
Yeah.
You couldn't get the parts. And if you brought in a second truck and it meant you were going to be able to do this, I was fine with it. It was it was interesting. It was neat to see the interaction and the differentiation of what guys brought to bear. And try as we might, myself, Chris, and Darren tried to explain come Sunday who was tied to who. And if it wasn't heard on the microphone or wasn't heard through the PA system, that's the limitations of the track. There's a lot of reasons why it necessarily didn't work that I won't get into. It could have been something really exciting. And could it work as a 2-truck format? Yes, I think it could. But is that really the spirit of what the event was supposed to be? No. No, it's not.
No. 100%.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And we're back to, again, the whole argument we've already had tonight on multiple fronts. Well, it's about money. Well, you can never legislate against that. If someone's willing to spend it, they're gonna.
Yep.
And if it means they do it for 1 year and not next, well, then that's their legacy that they have to carry within the sport. If you have the longevity and you're willing to manage your funds and be there 10 years from now and call yourself a 10-time UCC participant and maybe a 4-time winner versus that one guy who did the moonshot, where's your value system at? What is it? What are you in this for? If you're ultimately in it for money, no one pays you enough unless you're maybe NASCAR or Formula One. And I will say, go ahead and challenge me on that on any form of racing worldwide. You will not make money doing it. You won't. You will spend more than you can earn doing it. You will. Across the board. I don't care how much you win. You will spend more than you win. And even at the Formula One level, I will challenge that they spend more than they win. Even with all the TV rights deals and the manufacturer contracts, et cetera, et cetera. We're not in it for that. It's about it's about ultimate performance and pushing the envelope. And I'm happy to see it go back to 1 truck, 3 events, and let's see what you got.
Yep.
Yeah, that was I loved it when it was yes, bragging rights that lasts forever, or at least a year, whatever. But yeah, watching and the thrash, I remember seeing the thrash, and at that point it became, UCC used to be and it will go back to next year, it was a battle. It was more than a battle against competitors. It was a battle against yourself and your team. It was accomplishment. I mean, people describe UCC as the big swinging dick of, contest of truck builders. But you know what? When they're building one truck that can compete in a triathlon and do all three disciplines well, credit given where credit is due.
It's hot rod drag week compressed into one weekend.
Yes, exactly.
And
you're going to punish those, every part of those trucks.
There's been years, and there's a photos of me doing it. 4:00 in the morning, I'm the announcer. 4:00 in the morning, I'm under somebody's truck.
Yep.
I miss that. That's cool to me. And yeah, okay, it was my sponsor's truck. Yeah, it was Tony's. But if it hadn't been Tony's, it wouldn't have mattered. Could have been Eric's.
Nope.
Could have been Ben Francis.
Jesse Warren's.
Could have been Jesse Warren. I don't care.
Yeah.
If there's something that's got to get done, well, who gives a shit? I just, and it's in that sense, yes, for me, it absolutely is self-interest. I want you to survive overnight because in the morning, I want to talk about you again. I get paid to do that.
Right.
Yep.
So if I lose sleep, it's helping you. It's helping me. Let's do this. I'm all bought in on the whole concept.
Yep.
I've lived it. I've been there. I've seen it. If I get to sleep for a couple hours, all right, fine. I'll be a zombie Monday morning at work. Sorry, Leo.
It happens.
That was me today.
But what a freaking show we're gonna make. So yeah,
Jesse.
It's cool.
For the record, Jesse wouldn't have had a spot for you that year. Remember when they put that truck back together?
Yes, I do. It
looked like I wish that I had a drone that night because I don't remember exactly what he even did, but I remember that every part of that truck, he had hand assembled the team. And this is a little inside baseball for those of you who have any interest whatsoever in what Jesse Warren does to compete. He kind of torched the truck, broke it, and
he blew it on the dyno.
You're right. He blew it on the dyno, but he said, "I'll be damned if I don't show up tomorrow." And he had planned it out in advance. He had hand selected a team. Some of them were guys on his crew. Some of them were not. And he had a team ready to spring into action. And I remember stopping by that pit that night, and it was lit up with floodlights. And if you had a drone up, 30 feet in the air, I swear to God, it would have looked like the model, the plastic model kits, the Jeeps and the Camaros and stuff like that we used to build as kids.
Yeah.
You pull the box off and you've got the plastic, thing with everything just kind of, tucked in its spot. Jesse had that set up. Like it was, I remember it very, very, very specifically. I think I might even have some pictures of it.
I definitely
do. Everything laid out. It was laid out like a life-size model kit.
Yeah.
And I remember the job, and it was surgical.
It was 2019, and he had blown it up on the dyno. And for whatever reason, that particular year, due to breakage issues, we were super late. We were backed up so late on the dyno, and it had gotten to be like, I think we finished last guy to run a pull on the dyno was like 1:30 in the morning. It was stupid late. So we get done. I put away the microphone. We clean up out of the booth. And I head for the pits to just get the update. And I get back to Sean's pit, and like the engine is standing on the flywheel, and there's guys just pulling everything out of it as fast as they can, and inspecting everything, checking ring gaps, and looking at pistons, and is the rods bent, whatever, trying to get a new engine together, and They did, man. Overnight they did, and that was super cool to see. And of course, the fire year for Tony.
Yes.
That that was the night that I was under the truck at 4:00 in the morning. We're trying to do an engine swap, and it's not the same engine. It doesn't make to the trans, and we're trying to figure out how the hell to do this. Brett Deutsch never went to sleep making an engine harness for the whole thing, and Tyler Burkhardt. That was I told him then. I've reminded him of it since. I've talked about it since. That was the year I saw Tyler really step up as Tony's son and just take charge and try to make this deal go. He was under the truck just calling the shots and trying to make the thing happen while guys went in shifts and tried to sleep. There's a camaraderie and a brotherhood that comes out of something like that. And while my part was super tiny, I'm not going to claim I had really anything really to do with it. But to be there and be able to throw in and try to do what little I did do, and I would have done it for anybody else. It's part of the story, and it makes a better story when Sunday comes around and it's sled pull time, and I've got something to talk about because I was in the trenches with those guys and experienced it. I think it only heightens what's going to happen come day 3, and I look forward to resurrecting that bit of the sport or the event. I think it's really cool.
100%. And Cody, you're at a computer. Would you do me a favor? Go find the link to the 1320 video and drop that in the comments. And that's not a slight to you, Adam. That's because what we do, the three of us and Adam and Kyle Loftus and his crew at 1320 and countless other media dorks just like us, we're not there to take pictures of an event or take videos of an event. We are storytellers. And for Tony's 2019, Kyle and his crew told that story better than anybody else could. And Cody, if you find that video, just throw the link to it in the comments. It's such a good watch. Charles is in it. You want to see Charles working still in his white announcer's pants? I think he was.
That was the gray year.
Was it?
Yeah, that was the gray year.
Whatever. You were still on the ground, crawling underneath the truck, stripping it of parts and pieces so that you could put the old motor in. And it was something to behold, something to watch. I was there. I went live on Beer Money for that pass. I actually don't have pictures of the Sunday afternoon pass when Tony brought it onto the track because I was live on Beer Money.
The live stream video when he came in the back gate, so there's this spot in the backstretch wall where everybody comes in through. He turned that corner, and you could hear the crowd just go nuts in the live stream. That the truck was coming in.
And add a little bit more context. Where the fans sit in the stands for the pull, they're a good bit away from where Charles and I and Chris and Darren all were announcing and taking pictures. But you could hear that crowd just go bat crap insane when that beat up, truck that looked like it had absolutely been to hell and back because it had. When that thing rolled in, the electricity just amplified just like that. It was amazing. I've never seen anything like it before or since. And that, for me, 2019, that was the story. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing. We see it every year with a farm show. There's a story that develops. That's what we're there to do. I'm not there to take pictures. I'm there to tell a story. And so is Cody. So is Charles. And the story presents itself in different ways. And every year it's a different story. But it usually has to do with overcoming odds and being stronger than the machines that you're trying to wrestle into submission. And I know that Travis would back me up on that, and from his side, because he's a competitor. He's dealt with it. He's had to, make runs to get parts. He's had to, fix things in broadbent. Well, Tony did that in 2019, and it was something to watch. And to circle back around to my original comment, Kyle Loftus and the 1320 crew did a better job of documenting that than any of us could have ever.
You're talking about the one that they rebuilt the 2,000 horsepower truck in one night, right?
Yes, sir. And you'll find video footage of Charles both explaining what happened just after it happened. And he's got such a baby face. You guys all should watch and just laugh at it, because now he has the beard or the goatee and the gray.
Yeah.
The wisdom, like I do.
Yeah, part of that wisdom came from that night.
Yes, I know it did. I'm well aware. But nobody told that story better than Kyle and his crew. And I think all three of us, and if you're not following 1320, you need to be. Because if you want a sneak peek of where the three of us are going to go as a group of storytellers, you go watch their coverage of a drag week or a UCC. You watch what they do. You watch how they tell a story.
That's what we
Mark
want
our
to bring.
words. Mark our words. That will be us. So to the pullers who are watching, if you see us come up to you and say, "Hey, let's talk," it's because this is what we want to do. We want to tell your story through an event, not just take pictures of you for the 2 minutes that you're on the track and the 30 seconds that motor is wound all to hell and you're doing your thing. There's a story there about how you got there. And I mean, and we didn't do a good job of it, but we could have at the Pullers Championship this past year with Doug and Jeanette and how they thrashed and thrashed and thrashed. But, and a lot of you guys don't know this story, or maybe some of you do, but probably a lot of you don't. Doug and Jeanette didn't fire. They're the ones who have the scrappy, the diesel super, the Minneapolis Moline. There's a lot of people who don't realize this, but they didn't fire that motor until like 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock at night on Thursday before the event. Bear in mind, they had to be registered and teched and weighed by Showtime. Showtime was 6 o'clock on Friday night.
And they live in western Kansas, like Colorado border, western Kansas.
Mm-hmm. I was getting there.
So I'm just, I'm adding suspense to this.
I mean, if it's a windy day and, Jeanette spits with the wind, her lugie's going to land in Colorado. I mean, they had a long ways to go. They fired that motor, rolled it into the hauler, got on the road, drove all night and part of the day to get there. And then they went out and they, put a hurting on people. And they did it then on Saturday too. That's a story. Because they didn't get the parts in to fix it or to, completely reassemble the motor until, I don't know, like Tuesday-ish. I don't know if Doug's watching. Doug will correct me on that, and I expect it. But
they didn't even have
from Friday to Saturday. Steve Blagrave had somebody on a plane to go get parts.
Yeah, and also on Doug, he didn't even have all the parts he needed for that. So
right.
He was running some parts just to make it through that event. So it wasn't even like fixed, we're good to go. It was, we hope these hold together so we can make this work type of thing. So,
right.
And there's a lot of that goes on, that there's so much story behind getting
that fans just never hear, because
right.
As an announcer, Charles has about a minute to fill everybody in on anything and everything that's germane to what's happening with the puller on the track.
Yeah.
Whether or not, whether they just thrashed like hell to get the motor back together, or they're running a brand new chassis, or they blew out a steer tire and just about destroyed the hauler on the way out.
Yep.
Whatever it is, he's got to pack that in while they're getting, hooked to the sled, pull the chain tight, and as they're building up RPMs. And by the time they're building up RPMs, he better shut up. Because
even beyond that, there's a lot you don't hear me do because it happens on a radio or however it happens to keep an event go. I'm not trying to just toot my own horn, but there's a lot that goes on, and any announcer that's worth their salt participates in this way. We all do it. There's a lot going on that you don't hear on microphone because you don't need to hear it, but people do.
Sometimes that's because you don't need to hear it because there's a lot of F-bombs that might go off.
I may or may not have an inappropriate mouth. I'm just saying.
Right. We all of us might or might not swear like sailors. But the point of this whole 10-minute diatribe is that there's a story to tell with each and every competitor that rolls into an event, and the three of us, we talked about this on Saturday night or Sunday morning at 3:00 in the morning about telling that story. And we know that we need to do better at that because that's what draws you as fans into the sport. That's what gives you more respect for the people who are competing. And ultimately, I guess if we're being greedy, that's what makes you get in the car and drive from BFE, Nebraska to Bedford, Iowa. I met, I believe it was a father and son. Father and daughter from, I think, Grand Island. They were out near Grand Island. So, out there in Nebraska, a ways. And they drove all the way to Bedford, Iowa, because they had heard about this show and they wanted to support it. They did that because they were intrigued by the show. They knew some of the competitors, or they knew of them because they followed them, and they loved watching them. That's what our job is to tell that story enough that it makes you want to drive for 4 or 5 hours, whatever it was, get a hotel.
That'd be about a 4-hour drive.
Thank you, Jeeves. Thank you, Jeeves. Thank you, Google Maps.
Waze,
whatever. I don't give a crap. But if we're doing our jobs, it makes you want to be part of that and come out wherever that is. And the easiest way for us to do that is to tell the stories of the competitors. And so that's our commitment to you. And that's why you see stuff like, the photos of Candace Kincaid, 3 different photos of Candace Kincaid jumping on her husband and looking so incredibly happy. It's because she was, and because that was where they triumphed on Saturday night, and I think I'm the only guy who got that. I don't know if Charles got it or not.
No,
I know Cody didn't because
you got it.
Huh?
No, you got
Cody
that.
didn't. I know Cody didn't because he was bitching about about why did I put my camera away, and under my and to myself I thought, what a rookie.
I was getting my GoPro.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to have to hang on the camera and grab the GoPro.
Chatter.
I didn't see your big ass crawling in there to get out a GoPro, so.
No, because the GoPro didn't belong to me. The camera belonged to me. The one that I had on and the one that was pointed at them.
now we're just tooting our own horn. Time to move on.
So I don't know what timestamp this is, but that is me under Cheap Hooker at Dark 30 at UCC.
Mm-hmm.
Just whatever we got to do. Just I don't care. I'm laying in a puddle of freaking trans fluid in my crew shirt, I don't care. I don't care.
Are you
It's
wearing
about
pointed
making
toe
the show
cowboy
happen.
Yeah,
Were
he
you
is.
were wearing the same cowboy boots on Saturday night, weren't you?
That's the exact same boots I was wearing Saturday night. Exactly.
so.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know Charles utterly rages like stupid mad, like he's big mad about square toes.
Hate them.
Do what you will with that.
Hate them. If you're gonna wear cowboy boots, wear a toe pointy enough to kick somebody right square up the ass and not get stuck on the way in.
I guess I swing a little bit faster than you, Charles.
All right. Well, we've divulged or we've gone into the realm of, picking on each other. Does that mean it's time to kill the show?
Yeah, probably.
All right. Well, there's one comment that I needed to respond to.
Okay.
Hendrickson.
Which one?
Hendrickson. Game on. Anytime, any outlaw hook, you come out here.
All right, you gotta define which Hendrickson comment you're meaning.
Tyler made
probably
a
not this
about,
one.
I don't. He does. Point of fact, Charles has great legs. When I invited you out, Charles, to come out and watch Outlaw 5-0s, you started hemming and hawing and talking about calendars. Tyler was very sharp and took the opportunity to say, I will take his spot anytime, anywhere. I'm here to tell you, Tyler, you and I know each other better than the average, but you and Heidi have a place to stay, as does the child. So come on out. We'll go pulling. It's been forever since I've seen you anyway.
I like this comment when he's like, the wife's getting angry at me for interrupting her sleep with this talk show. Thanks, guys.
Well, here's the thing you don't know. His wife is expecting, and I don't know how far along she is, but it's probably to the I can get annoyed very easily phase. Maybe. And if not, I will be punched the next time she sees me for saying it. But, I probably have it coming.
7.5 months.
How many?
7.5 months is what he said. He's on the couch.
So you're gonna have lots and lots of things to be thankful for around Thanksgiving. Good for you, man. Proud of you. Tyler got married not too long ago, and this is their first.
Congrats, dude. Happy for you.
And have you ever met him?
No.
Oh, Tyler's a good kid. He's a really, really nice guy. I met him. He had to take Keith Hanenberg's. He's Keith's nephew.
Okay. Yeah.
And he had to take a set of tires out to Rock Valley so Taylor could cut them, could sharpen them for the year. Gotcha. And he and I had responded. He made some comment, some fairly benign comment on a beer money thread a long time ago. And I realized that he said he was from West Michigan, which is where I'm from. And we got to talking, and I made, an offhanded comment because the Cornhusker Classic was coming up at the time, probably 2017 or 18. And
Adam,
said,
that's not an accomplishment.
What? Who knows me? Who
knowing any of us, not an accomplishment.
No, don't put that shit on your resume. Ever. But I somehow or another, I talked Tyler into coming out. He dropped off the tires in Rock Valley, and then he hightailed it down to Lincoln and hung out with us all weekend. Didn't know a soul.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm over the wall taking pictures of the event, and he didn't have that wristband, and he didn't have a camera, and yada 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 yada. I felt horrible about it. And so I introduced him to Lauren and Des Paulson, and they kind of took him under their wing. So I appreciate that very much. But as far as I know, he had a pretty darn good time. Now, that said, he has not come back since, so maybe he didn't. But
that's an
it wasn't.
solid.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Founders. It was. Oh God, it's that they're out of Sparta, I think. It'll come to me later, but it was a blackberry IPA, and it's so good. I haven't had it in ages. But yeah, he brought out beer, and I tried to pay him for it. He wouldn't take it. So Perrin, that's right, Perrin, and
I haven't had that one.
Oh, Perrin's got a good blackberry IPA. It's really good.
Good in IPA.
At any rate,
two things.
No, it works. It really does work. Like, I would legit drink that. I would put this down, and drink a Perrin blackberry IPA. It was so good. I haven't had one in years. By the way, tonight is brought to you by Old Granddad Bonded. Charles,
good choice.
You don't need to. Yes, even better choice at $10.
That's even cheaper than I can get it here.
I was just gonna say,
and most people hate on. Stop. I'm gonna stop. Most people hate on that because they go, "Oh, Granddad, it's the swill that my Uncle Jack, who was drunk all the time, drank." It's a high rye recipe from Jim Beam, and it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Cody,
what did you think of it? You tried it. You never told me.
I did. I said it was really good for $10, or I said it was really good, and you're like, yeah, especially for $10. So
yeah, I rarely go with Kara grocery shopping, but when we went to Walmart, I go traipsing through the booze aisle, and I see, there's like 24 fifths of Old Granddad Bonded, 100 proof. Every single one of them just got marked down to $10 a bottle, down from like 25.
I really thought you were going to talk about the 3 stores we had to stop at before we found something more than 18 bottles on the whole entire wall.
We can talk about that. Tell the story, man, because I think you got a pretty good pour out of it, right?
Yeah. Well, we were on the way there, and we get past Terre Haute on the way to Wagler's, and I was like, I kind of need that thing to take the edge off, and so we found the closest thing, and I'm not kidding when I said there's like 18 bottles of combined liquor on the wall, and that's about it.
And so, like half of them are titled Dr. McGillicuddy's.
Heard that story.
Puckers or something like that. Yeah.
Right. It was bad.
Yeah, this isn't going to work. And Ryan and I kind of looked there and stand there for a minute, and we get like stared at pretty hard. And I was like, we have a couple more options on the way. So we went to number 2, and I think there's post offices in towns of 200 people that are bigger than that one. We're like, yeah, let's try number 3. So we went to number 3, and that was the winning number. So they had a good selection, and ended up with some good stuff from there. So
what'd you buy? You bought a Knob Creek 9-year single barrel, right?
Yep.
And I bought a Maker's Mark cask strength at 100 and I don't know, it was like 112 proof or something. Not quite rocket fuel, but really, really good. Lots of cinnamon. Charles, you would have liked it.
Sounds good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But no, this Old Granddad at $10 a bottle on clearance from Walmart. Cannot beat it. That was the deal of the year. So I bought 3 bottles. Anyway, enough of my grocery shopping habits.
Hey, I gotta get off. I gotta go photography nerd, because my daughter just sent me edits that she's working on, because now she's learning from what she did at UCC. So I gotta go look at this stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
She's taking a liking to this, so I'm gonna get replaced like next year.
You're gonna have to buy another camera, is what I hear.
Yeah, I'm gonna give her my 6D, and I'm gonna buy an R3. It's gonna be awesome.
Like I said, you're gonna have to get another camera.
Nicely done. You know what? As long as she can take another shot like that photo that she took of Jim Martell's single engine mod under the street light.
Yes.
Oh,
that will happen.
It was Allie, right?
Yes, she did that.
Okay. Allie, I'm talking to you right now. That is a photo that every single photographer I know wishes that we could have taken. Be proud of that, and please put that on the wall somewhere. Please. Even if it's your old man.
I've already blown it up. It's already framed. It's done.
Good. Good. It deserves to be on your wall, Allie.
Mm-hmm.
Would
she ever find that?
One last thing that we skipped, by the way, since we're talking about dad things, Tyler, you will be fine. You'll have a lot of fun. Don't be scared. You'll enjoy every minute of it.
Right now, I need to find out what his comment was.
He was talking about 7 months along type of thing, and he said scared crapless. So
what is his taste in alcohol though? That's I need to know this, Tyler. You can text me if you want. I may berate you in text, but I need to know the answer to this.
So I don't have the original photo that you're referencing, Ryan, the one that she took, but there's another one that she took that is now the home screen on Sidetracked's website. She did this one as well.
That is the photo that I was referring to.
Okay. This is one. The other is from the other side of the tractor shooting at a different angle. But and she did both. That's her.
I would give anything to have a shot like that in my repertoire. And I don't. I do not have anything like that. The closest I have is a 4-1 from Jeff City. And it's close to that, but it's not nearly that good.
Yeah.
So my closest is probably my 6 when I light painted that at TPC.
Mm-hmm.
That was a weird deal. It worked out. Fine. I had taken them to that thumb event and sunset, and I saw it sitting out there, and I go, man, this would be a cool photo. Go out there. It's sitting under the light. Go ahead and get some images of this. I set the camera up for her initially, and she did some really cool stuff. I can't claim any of this other than initial setup of the camera, but she did it. She got Jim whispering to the engine. That one under the light. This is both of the two that he had at the time under the same light. That's the one I turned into the homepage, and this was the other one that just worked. And that's all her. I didn't do any. I gave her the initial setup, but she did that.
I've never seen that one before, believe it or not. I've never seen that. The only one I'd ever seen is the other one.
Yeah,
from the other angle.
And I'll admit I did do something with this one. The chrome you see back here and the hauler that is responsible for Thumb's sled, I did black those out on edit of this photo where it's just the tractor and all you see behind is black. But otherwise, I didn't touch the photo. Like, she did that. She's got the eye. She understands how to do this. And, she's good. It's cool.
So what I hear is she's coming with TPC.
Probably not. That's going to be real close to finals time for her in the spring, being a college student. So probably not. I'd love for her to come, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Allie, if you can make it, you know a couple of guys who can get you a media pass. Just saying.
Yeah. She doesn't have to
And
worry
if
about
not-
that.
And if not, I know a guy or two who can get you a media pass for the North Iowa Nationals.
That would be more likely. UCC would be likely. Anything in the summer would be likely. But as early as we are for TPC, probably not going to work.
Fair enough.
That's going to be
Fair enough. We would
right at finals time for her.
And I really want to make the UCC, but when you work in the precision ag world, it's bad timing for me.
Yeah.
So,
all right, let's stick a fork in this one. We're rambling.
Yeah, but we're talking about cool stuff.
We are. To us.
If they don't listen that long, no, we don't care.
Is anybody actually listening aside from Tyler and Adam?
Mark?
No.
Mark?
No, probably not.
And Mark's right. Old Overhold is horrible.
Yes. Yes, it is.
If nobody's listening, we'll just keep going, is what you're saying.
We never, I mean, Jason likes to talk sometimes about stats and says, oh, this is, there's 1 million people watching this. Well,
there's 32 people watching this.
We've been live for 2 hours and 21 minutes. And okay, so at least now I have a frame of reference that if, Ryan and Charles and Cody talk for 2.5 hours, then there will be approximately 30 people watching. So,
well, we had a proper fight, so that's got to be good for something,
right?
Well, no digital punches were thrown.
No. Well, we like each other. I mean, it was honest.
It's true. That's true. So,
yeah.
but we did have one guest who would have, who had an invite given to him, and he turned us down. So,
you just can't sleep, Tyler. That's your problem.
Right. Well, it's not that he can't sleep; it's that Heidi can't sleep, and she keeps rolling around and throwing him out of bed.
I was gonna say I thought we were being too loud, and she kicked him out of bed.
Well, that probably was the case at one point in time.
All right.
So
I'm at a point where I'm going to stick a fork in it. Apologize to everybody for the lack of graphics that, like the literally the library, the you guys can't see the internal stuff. It's wiped. And so we did our best, but it was more about discussion and the content surrounding that discussion than visuals. So it'll sound great as a podcast. Maybe it wasn't much to look at because you're stuck with at least 1/3 of the screen being this ugly mug, but it is what it is.
And stay tuned because I saw Cody's video of Randy Overton's truck trying to screw with Randy's blood pressure, which it seems to be very adept at doing. He's got good video, and I know he will put it up either on his TikTok or his Facebook. So if you're not following Vanderholm Media, you need to. And yeah, that's all I got. We're off the road for a while. That's kind of freaking cool.
I'm done. I got a month before my next event. Speaking of Randy Overton, Randy Kleikamp was in the house, and I didn't know that.
I saw that, and I didn't either.
Randy, we're coming for you. You're going to be an interview. We want to talk to you.
Amen. All right, boys. Should we call it?
Yep.
All right. Be good to one another. Talk to you later. See ya.
Hey, you guys.
Love you guys. See ya.